6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going so good. Spent the entire day in the
Well,
glass room. I'm making stained glass guillotines.
I love that. How
They are
cute.
hilarious. I cannot wait for you to see them done.
That sounds hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Clever idea.
I have this cool purple mirror glass that I'm using for the blades. Oh my gosh. They're so
Ooh,
cute.
how fun.
So my part is done. I just turned them over to Scott to solder them. So
Ooh, well, that sounds like fun.
I can't wait to see them. Yep. Thank you. I noticed I'm wearing the same hoodie right now that I am in our intro.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I've been on the absolute dead run all day. It's one of those appointment days where I've had so many appointments, and I'm just frankly glad to be here because this was my last thing I had to do today.
Nice.
Was this show, and I love this show, so I'm really glad to be here with all of you.
Right. Totally looking forward to this hearing. Yeah.
Totally looking, and I have not watched it. I prepped it for us to use on the show today. Did not watch it because I want to be surprised on camera. Surprised, like nothing this chick does now surprises me. However, incensed, disgusted,
dismayed,
beyond belief, dismayed,
disquieted,
disquieted. Yeah.
You do need a glass of the good stuff. I've got a very large glass of ice water here, so I'm all set.
I have water too. If it weren't 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would totally do that. But if I drink something now, I will be wrecked by 6 p.m. That'll be it. I'll have to go to bed because I'm old and I'm a lightweight. So yeah,
I'm not done with glass yet today.
Amber has already watched drinking it twice.
For that. Oh yeah,
yeah. My pearls. Let's just put them on. I've heard rumors I'm going to be needing them, so we may as well just put the clutch and pearls right on.
Well, get ready.
There we go. All righty. Well, you know it. We are here to do a live blind react to yesterday's Lori Vallow Daybell pretrial hearing for the Brandon Boudreaux case, but I think also, to deal with some real ridiculous bullshit that's been going on since her previous trial. So, without further ado,
yet another belligerent turd circus.
Yes, it is. Let's see what she's got. I'm sure it's bullshit.
Lori Daybell.
All right. We have a number of things to discuss and get through here today. First of all is the motion for new trial the defendant filed. I received the response. I think the reply is due today. Is that being filed?
Yes, Your Honor, I have it right here. And
is it ready to be filed?
Yes.
Okay, we'll file that. You have a copy for the state?
I do.
Okay. The response, I'll take a look, or the reply, I should say. I'll take a look at that. The next thing I wanted to discuss was the state had filed a notice of its intent to use defendant's other acts to establish conspiracy, premeditation, and or establish motive pursuant to Rule 404B. In your pretrial statement, you indicated you wish to strike or withdraw that?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's withdrawn. Next we have state's request to preclude the media from showing the face of a testifying witness, one of the witnesses. I'm assuming you don't really have a dog in that fight, Ms. Daybell? Or do you have a response?
I don't have a dog in the fight, but I haven't had a chance to read over. I just got a bunch of this stuff, so I'm not really sure what they're asking for.
Well, one of the witnesses also works in an undercover capacity, and showing that witness's face could compromise other investigations or things that that witness is doing. So it's a request to not broadcast his face through the media out into the public.
And is this witness FBI or something to that effect?
It's Nicholas Balance. I think he is an FBI agent.
Correct, he is an FBI agent.
And he's a relevant witness because of why?
According
What?
to the state's notice, he created a PowerPoint regarding some of the Wi-Fi or cellular data
Cellular and
location.
Wi-Fi use, yes.
Lori, honey, he testified against you in Idaho. You know damn well
Yes,
who
he
he is
surely did.
and
He
why he's relevant.
put several nails in your coffin. So let's get real here.
And he's relevant.
And he's
why?
relevant. Why? Right?
Okay, we're off to a great start. Here we go.
Yes, we are.
I have no real objection to him being obscured. I don't know how they'll do it, but
All right, so I'll direct the media during trial when witness Nicholas Balance is called to testify. They can't broadcast his face out. They can focus the lower part of the witness stand or something like that, but his likeness or image or face should not be broadcast out to the public. So I'm essentially granting the state's request in that regard. Next, we have state's amended request for Rule 609 hearing and the defendant's response. When I read the amended request, you're simply adding the most recent conviction, correct?
Correct, yeah.
You didn't really respond to that in your reply. You kind of just talked about the previous reply that you had made about, did you notice that she had asked to basically add your most recent conviction?
I saw that, but I didn't know what the law was since I wasn't sentenced for that yet, so I wasn't quite sure where to go on that, so I left it off.
Okay, with the 609, I think similar to the last trial, I'll put that off, and depending on if you testify or not, it only really becomes relevant if you decide to testify. So we'll table that for the time being. Next, I have the state's motion limiting to preclude inadmissible evidence relating to Tammy Latchik, who is a evidence scene technician type person from the, I think it's city of Chandler.
Gilbert.
Gilbert. Did you have a chance to review that?
I just got it, and I am in the middle of responding to that, but I do have a request in that regard.
Which is?
From the state, since it was, just given to us, and I'm sure that the state had that information clearly before now, we need additional information, and due to that late disclosure, I was going to ask the state if they could disclose to us the employment records of Tammy and the emails regarding this incident and any recordings or body cam videos, so that we don't have to have my investigator try to do an investigation so quickly. If they have that information, if it could be turned over to the defense so that we don't have to try to gather that information so quickly.
Well, I don't think you're necessarily entitled to all those things if it's deemed that incident is irrelevant to her testimony. So I think the threshold issue is if you want to file a response where you think that is relevant, something that you can get into, an incident that happened 4 years later, I guess when can you file your response?
Without any further information, I don't know when is that response necessarily due, Your Honor.
It was filed May 3rd, so technically it's already past due.
Oh.
So can you file it by next, you have a copy of it now?
I just got a copy, correct.
Right. How about next Wednesday, the 21st?
Yes, I can do that.
All right, so we'll set
And I have
that
a
aside.
question on that as well. Can I make an objection on the sealing? Can I ask under what law or rule or statute that this motion was sealed under?
They've requested to file it under seal because of the nature of the motion and the contents of what that incident is, not needing to necessarily be in the public eye. So if you want to include in your motion an objection to it being filed under seal, you can do that as well.
Okay.
So you'll file that no later than May 21st. I don't need a reply on that. I'll deal with that, I guess, probably our first day of trial or so.
So you're not going to set a 609 hearing?
This is not a,
Oh, not the 609, but a hearing for Tammy Lachik?
I can listen to oral argument when you filed your reply, but I don't believe I needed any sort of hearing on it. So I'll deal with that May 29th.
Always with the hooves.
It does kind of do my heart good to see her shackled and see her with her cuffs on, because she's been convicted of 4 first-degree murders at this point.
Yeah.
And she just sits there so nonchalantly, like nothing. Well, so aren't you going to do blah, 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 blah? Her constant correcting of the judge, it just tells you what a fool she is, you know?
Yeah.
She doesn't even know how to be respectful in this situation of
Or
someone
feel
who has a
any
lot of
need
power.
to. Right.
Yeah,
Or feel compelled at all to be respectful. Yeah.
right. It's wild to me. But
Right.
yeah, I yeah, the camera person always making sure to get those ankles and wrist shots. They're pretty awesome. It's nice to get to see her as she really is, a quadruple murderer, and not, you know, dressed in her little suits, acting like she's an attorney that we all know she isn't. So pretty interesting just watching that. I'm also curious why the state has decided not to go for 404B.
Yeah.
To get her prior bad acts in. I'm very curious about that. Maybe they just don't feel like they need to.
Maybe.
They've got, this case is solid.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to people like Nick Balance. And
maybe
Nick Balance,
4B would make this last, 2 weeks longer.
right? It might. And do
what
they need
predict
that?
is the same outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Balance, they did the same thing in Chad Daybell's trial, and they just didn't show his face. So works out quite well. So 404B, what they're asking for is an exception to 404B, which would be to bring in her prior bad acts as a part of the conspiracy. They used that exception in both Idaho trials, hers and Chad's, to be able to bring in everything that they did leading up to the Idaho murders. But I guess they had asked for that in this trial, and now they've vacated that and they're not asking for that. So maybe they just feel like they don't need it. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right. And it is a fail all around that Melanie Boudreau-Pulaski is not required to be here and testify.
Yeah.
It is gross. I think we all know it. That she should be on this. She should be on trial as well for this. But let's see where we go from here.
All right, then we have the defendant's motion for no restraints in trial dated May 6th. I don't know, in your motion, I don't know where you get the idea that the sheriff's office recommendation ever was that you have no restraints at all. Their minimum recommendation was that you wear a rack belt.
Well, I have it right here and I copied it verbatim.
Yeah, you said, what it said was my recommended minimum requirements as listed above, and those were to wear a rack belt.
It said, or the recommendation of MCSO was that they could have a unarmed detention officer and an armed deputy sheriff if I was to not have any restraints.
Right, but that wasn't their recommendation. I've received the defendant's motion. I've received non-party Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan's response.
On the MCSO security justifications, my understanding is was his recommendation.
Your Honor, Joseph Vigil for the Sheriff's Office, if you have a question.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll deny the motion from the defendant. The same conditions will be set that we had in the first trial, that being you wear the rack belt, no leg brace. There was one incident during the trial where you asked to take a break because a strap was hanging down behind your jacket. We did that. We rectified the situation. There's been no indication whatsoever that the jury noticed the rack belt or anything like that. So I think those conditions are appropriate and will remain for the second trial.
Your Honor, the jury was not polled to see if they noticed anything either. Was that correct?
Right. There was no request for that. All right. So next we have defendant's motion to consider.
Your lawyer sucks.
He's had it. He's getting
Yeah.
saltier and saltier, and I am here for it. Lori,
Absolutely.
they're not here to do you favors, darling. If you need something, you have to ask for it. If you wanted to
Exactly.
know, you would have had to make that request. Funny how you didn't.
Well, and she pulled this same argument before the last trial.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it didn't work then. Why do you think
No.
it's going to work now, lady? And these are recommendations, but it's still up to the judge.
Also, you crazy bee, you have been convicted of murdering 4 people.
Right.
What in the world makes you think you would get to stand in the middle of a courtroom in front of a judge and a jury without any kind of restraints? It's so
Right?
wild.
Like, no one feels safe with you. You are a psychopath, lady.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
With advisory council and team during trial dated May 6th. I don't know, I guess, what exactly are you requesting? Are you requesting that during the lunch recesses, you be housed somewhere where you can meet with your team?
Correct.
Okay.
And I know that it's a DO situation, and I know that our DO has his other obligations to do, so I didn't know if another officer could maybe, if something could be arranged so that I would have time with my team during those breaks and during lunchtime.
We did accommodate that during breaks and recesses during the trial to the extent that it doesn't delay the jury getting into the courtroom and resuming the trial when we need to, like when we take the 15-minute afternoon recess. That will continue. You'll have an opportunity to meet with them briefly. Over the lunch hour, I think is the real question. I did receive a response this morning from the sheriff's office, which indicates they don't really have an objection to that. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. There is an area on the 4th floor in the South Court Tower where she can be taken to meet with her advisory council, and they'll work that out.
All right. I don't have a problem with that. So if you need to meet with them when we break for lunch, just indicate to the DO that's what you need to do. There may be a day where you don't need to meet with them, but I'll essentially grant. Ms. Kay, I don't assume you have an issue with that.
I have no
All
position
right,
on it.
so I'll grant the defendant's motion on that she can meet during the lunch hour. Again, the only restriction on that is that we're not going to delay bringing in the jury at 1:30. We'll expect everyone back in the courtroom to start on time. All right, let's talk about the trial schedule and the screening. I received in the state's pretrial statement. Have you seen that?
I just did, yes.
Your Honor, may I be
Yes,
excused?
go ahead. Thank you. The state's pretrial statement indicate there was some witness scheduling issues. If we get the jury sat on the 30th and impaneled on the 30th, the last Friday in May, and we have our opening statements and begin testimony and evidence Monday, June 2nd, you indicated that, the state indicated you would run out of witnesses either Wednesday or sometime Thursday.
Correct. That are available that week, yes.
Right, and then so we'll definitely go dark on Friday the 6th. I had initially indicated we would be in trial on that day, but if we can't have any witnesses here, we'll be dark on that day, and we'll indicate that for screening purposes for the jurors. I think we'll still indicate that we'll be in trial on the 5th, and we'll have to play that by ear. Maybe we will be dark, maybe we won't. But as far as when you resume on the 9th, you said you thought you would have 3 witnesses left at that point?
Correct.
Do you have an anticipation? Are those witnesses that would each take a whole day, or?
I think it's possible I could finish that day.
So ultimately what I'm getting at is trying to drill down the schedule and screening for the jury. Do we not need to screen them for the week of the 23rd?
Obviously, I just received the defendant's 15.2 that lists 2 different expert witnesses. I did request that they actually comply with Rule 15.2 and give me any information about any of these experts. They've also listed other witnesses. So because of that, I would still screen them for the other week.
Well, maybe we should address that. Is there still no report from Lonnie Dworkin that the state's received?
I have received nothing.
Right. Do you have some sort of expert report you were disclosing?
We will, Your Honor, yes.
When?
Well, when is that going to be? Because it's way past due.
So the state did receive the affidavit from Lonnie explaining the things, which is why they turned over late discovery in the middle of trial. So we did have that. He's working on a few things for us as well now, and I will get with him as soon as possible and get that report to you as soon as possible.
All right, well, it's depending on what's in that report, it is likely to be precluded at this point, but I'll keep an open mind on that, and I guess we'll wait and see. Let's talk about, for the purposes of scheduling.
Your Honor, and just, there's one other person that I'm Googled.
I'm going to ask her about the other
Okay.
witnesses. I received your supplemental witness list, I think yesterday.
Googled. Trina K has had enough of this shit, man.
When?
And I Googled. Yeah, she's gloves are off, man.
And Lori's
Gloves
over
are
here.
off.
You'll get it when you get it, Judge. Okay.
And by the way, you turned it over late during the last trial, which no, she fucking didn't, and we all know that. But man, she will not stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, this is great. Okay, let's go.
You have, in addition to Mr. Dworkin, you have Weaver, Barkman, again, Detective Moffat, Jeffrey White, Melanie Gibb, and Zulema Pastanas.
Zulema Pastanas.
Okay. Was Detective Moffat also involved in this case?
He was involved with the case agent of this case while he was the case agent of the other case, correct?
Okay. So he may or may not have, he may have relevant information. Again, I guess that's a wait and see. What about, who's Weaver Barkman?
So he's a ballistics expert.
Is that an expert? So that's an expert. Do you have an expert report that's been disclosed?
Not yet, Your Honor. We're working on it.
Your Honor, since I've not noticed a ballistics expert, that's a big problem, because if I get something, then I would have to do that. So the defendant's, again, extremely late violation of all rules of criminal procedure is a problem.
It is a problem. Who's Jeffrey White?
My investigator.
Oh, okay. And do you have an idea of in what capacity you think he would be called?
Well, we had made a request from the state for the car door and the window that the bullet supposedly hit, and we were going to have him
Supposedly?
inspect that as well. We have recently found out that those two things do not exist. So I'm not sure what they're going to be putting up as far as ballistics in their case in chief, so I was trying to have someone who could be able to look at whatever reports they're trying to put up and rebut anything that they're saying.
Is Mr. White an expert in that area?
Mr. Weaver?
No, I said Jeffrey White.
He's my investigator.
Right, that's who I was asking, who has relevant information. What's Mr. White's relevant information for, why might he be called as into trial?
Because he's interviewing the witnesses as well, the defense witnesses.
So is it some sort of extrinsic impeachment if they,
Correct.
What about Melanie Gibb?
So Melanie Gibbons and Luna Pastinas were both initially noticed in the state's 15.1. They have not noticed them again. I don't know if they can still call them if they're on their list, but they have relevant information to this case.
Have they been presented for an interview by the state?
They've both been interviewed multiple times by the state.
I mean, not by police officers, I mean by either a prosecutor or someone in her office in preparation for trial.
In this case?
Yeah, in either case.
Not that I'm aware of.
Have they been subpoenaed?
The subpoenas are out.
That's a yes or no question.
What relevant information would they have?
They have relevant information to Brandon Boudreaux.
Okay.
And around that time.
What is the nature of that relevant information?
It will come apparent if they have to.
Your Honor, how can I have my Perry Mason moment when you always make me tell the prosecutor the plot?
Right?
Oh, what do you think she's trying to get him to say? Like what a shitty person Brandon Boudreaux is?
I guess. I mean,
Brandon,
why
I don't
would
think
they
you're a
help
shitty
her
person.
at this
Please don't
point?
sue me. But, I mean, is she just
No,
trying to
like-
defame him?
I would assume so because they weren't witnesses. They weren't present when this
Mm-mm.
crime occurred. So, and how are you going to get the window that the bullet broke? Dum dum.
Yeah.
It's broken. Supposed bullet?
Mhm.
Are you kidding
Well,
me?
she said supposedly, Lori.
Yes, she did.
Damn it.
Yeah, your lack of being an actual lawyer is really showing her here.
Indeed. All right.
To get up and testify, Your Honor. I will only call them if I need
Well, they're going to
them.
be precluded if you can't give me some minimal what relevant information they have. Just saying that they're relevant doesn't make them relevant. Okay?
Correct.
Yes, and there's this procedure that I have to say what each of my witnesses are relevant ahead of time and give my whole case in chief over to the state. It is?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
just
how
like-
it works.
like
That's
the-
the rules of law.
Stop interrupting me. Yes. That is the rule of law. That's just what the state does. They tell you what relevant information each witness has. So, my
Don't
answer
you
is
remember
yes.
this from the last trial?
So, if you can't tell me what relevant information they have, they'll be precluded.
They both have had dealings with Brandon Boudreaux and Alex Cox. So
Okay, so does someone, that was a server for them at a restaurant. It doesn't make them have relevant information as to this case. Anyone who came into contact with Mr. Boudreaux or Mr. Cox had some interaction with them at some point in their lifetime does not make them a relevant witness. So what is their relevance?
the state had them on their witness list and they're saying they're not relevant?
Apparently not. Are you calling them?
No, they're not on my,
Police interview however many people they interview because they're working on the case. They don't know who has relevant information, who doesn't have relevant information. All the people that they interview don't end up being relevant. So because they're listed in a police report somewhere, doesn't necessarily make them relevant.
Okay, their relevance lies in if I have to rebut something that the state puts on in their case in chief. They're just called in case they need them. They're subpoenaed in case I need them.
All right. It sounds like they don't have relevant information.
Sure
However,
does.
I'll include these names on the potential witness list for screening the jurors if the jurors have any knowledge of any of these witnesses out of an abundance of caution. That's really the purposes for today is the questionnaire that goes out to the jurors. So
Well, you
I will
haven't got to
include
that
these
yet.
witnesses. Again, Mr. Dworkin, Mr. Barkman, if they're expert witnesses that haven't provided any sort of report or expert witness testimony, they're likely to be precluded as witnesses. But I'll include them on the witness list. I think what I'm hearing is you said you might finish on the 9th or the 10th? I'm going to indicate on the questionnaire to the jurors, potential jurors, that the trial is likely to end by June 13th, Friday, June 13th. However, I'll include that Monday, the 23rd, and kind of say, if needed or if required, might go to June 23rd out of an abundance of caution. So I'll finalize that questionnaire. It's pretty much done, and it's pretty much the same as the last one, except for the names of the witnesses, the specific allegations, and then I removed the question about viewing medical examiner autopsy type photos because that's not needed in this case. But I'll send you guys out a copy. Actually, I could probably finish it in the next couple minutes and print out a copy so you have it before you leave here today. That questionnaire, I need to get with the jury office. I think we were talking about sending it out the 22nd and cutting it off the 28th or 27th. And then we'll meet again on the 29th in this courtroom to go over the responses. That'll be at 1 p.m. on the 29th.
Your Honor, in light of the juror misconduct or the alleged juror misconduct, I have to object to us having so much information go out about my personal information in that jury questionnaire. Do you not think that was a problem?
What personal information?
The state versus Vallow Daybell.
What's the name of the case?
Yeah, we don't put that on anyone else's questionnaire, or one other person that's ever had that questionnaire ever put out with their name on it. They just don't do it.
Do it in every trial I've done.
Then the people are just going to Google it, and then we're going to have the same exact problem we had getting a jury for that case. We're going to have the same exact problem.
Are you done? Okay. How do we screen for if people have heard about you if we don't include your name?
Valid question.
Do you have a response to that?
I'm just saying, you gave them the name, and they're just going to Google it.
They're instructed not to Google it, all right? And if you'll recall, when we had all the jurors come in person, one of the first questions I asked them in the afternoon was, who has looked up this case since you filled out the questionnaire? And we had 2 or 3 people raise their hand, and those people were excused. So I have to include your name to screen out for the people that know about your case. And we released about 100 jurors last time because of their answers to that. If we don't include your name, that's 100 extra jurors we have to go through in person and ask if they know you. And in fact, that increases the risk of tainting the rest of the jury pool if we have someone stand up and say, yeah, I know about her case in Idaho where blah, 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 in front of the rest of the jurors. That'll burn the whole panel. We'll have to start over.
Oh, come on, Judge. You couldn't go one step further. I heard all about her case in Idaho where she was convicted of murdering her kids. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Judge.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We all know that's what we're thinking.
Yep.
That's hilarious, though, that she thinks that her name shouldn't be included in the jury questionnaire.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, bitch.
And also, are you done?
Yeah, that was fabulous. I will definitely be clipping that for future use.
Absolutely.
But yeah, exactly. They need to know right up front if people know who she is, because then they are immediately out and they don't have to worry about trying to get through that many people. God, she's ridiculous. Plus, right, every single case ever in the history of our legal system has had the name of the defendant on it.
That's
how
just
it is.
how it works. Yeah, sticker
we
that
need
says,
a
are you
sticker.
done?
You, Irene, coming right up. You'll see next week. We're going to share some really exciting, fun things.
So I'm going to include your name in the questionnaire. I don't think there was any other personal information or background information about you in that questionnaire other than your name. So was there any other issues you had with the questionnaire?
No, Your Honor.
So the schedule will be, we'll meet at 1 p.m. to go over those answers on the 29th. On the 30th, we'll meet at 10 We'll have walk-in jurors that morning that will fill out the questionnaire. And then the people that survive our screening on the 29th, and those that survive the morning of the 30th will come in the afternoon of the 30th. This will be back in the courtroom we were in last time, 5D of the South Court Tower. Again, I expect to seat that jury at some point that afternoon. And then we'll plan on going Monday through Thursday, June 2nd to June 5th. Then June 9th to June 13th, and if need be, June 23rd.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would have to ask that you would recuse yourself from the obvious personal bias that you have against me and send us to master calendar for this scheduling of a trial.
And what personal bias is that?
A lot, obviously, the personal bias that you're showing right now and that you've shown on the FTR several times during the trial.
Okay, well, I don't have any personal bias, all right? I've over-accommodated you on when you have to disclose things. In fact, your expert should be summarily precluded today, and I haven't done that, all right? So,
You denied every single one of my motions since for a year and a half that I've been here. Every single one of my motions has been denied. And have any of those motions not have merit? You've denied every single motion.
I think I was here this morning about 15 minutes ago when I granted your motion to meet with your attorneys over the lunch hour. I have granted other motions.
Sure did.
Okay,
That's the first motion that you've ever granted
well,
in my behalf.
all motions that have
Not
a legal
true.
basis, and I might
No.
grant them.
So you're saying none of my motions have had merit.
Not many, no.
And none of the motions that my first team, you denied every one of my first team's motions. You denied every one of my second team's motions. And now you denied every one of my motions until today.
I haven't denied every one of your motions.
Every single one of their motions was denied. Every single one of the second team's motions were denied, and all mine. So you didn't come into this with any bias against me in the first place?
Again, file a motion that has legal merit, okay?
And none of my attorneys ever filed a motion with any legal merit?
They filed a motion on your behalf, the first team, to preclude media coverage, and I issued my ruling according to the law, all right? They filed a motion to have you dressed out, not in jail clothes during hearings like this, okay? That was not based in law. I denied that motion. So I've ruled on the motions as required by law.
Without any kind of a conclusion of law in them, just denied. Does that not show a bias and a prejudice against one single person?
All right, are you done?
Again.
Are you going to recuse yourself?
No, I'm denying your motion.
And there it is. Oh my God, that was holy shit. Holy shit.
The way he took joy in saying, no, I'm denying your motion.
Oh, she's such a little shit. Oh my God.
What do you think Prosecutor K is doing right now?
I so wish we could see her face. She is probably killing herself to not laugh. Trying to keep her, she's just probably biting her own tongue to keep it all together.
Tongue bitten in half.
Yes. Oh my God.
Also, she's lying because he has approved some of her motions. He has accommodated her right and left, actually,
Oh,
with a lot of her
unbelievably so.
nonsense. But
Yeah.
this is something. All right, Judge, carry on.
yes.
All right, I was handed a motion to suppress all evidence pertaining to Jeep Wrangler.
I have not received that.
Did you?
What?
You probably got a copy of it today or not?
No.
Oh, do we need to make copies? All right, go
Just
ahead and make
everything
copies for
about the
state.
Jeep.
I also have a motion to
Interesting.
dismiss for non-preservation of crucial evidence. So make a copy. I guess the state can file their response to those.
Oh, come on, Judge. Just deny him right now. You know you're gonna.
Come on, do it. Do it.
Deny, deny, deny.
Anything else for today from the state's perspective?
No, Your Honor.
From the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right, we'll see everyone on the
No, Your Honor.
29th at 1 p.m. Again, that's in this courtroom.
Well, 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 well. Oh my
Well,
God.
gosh.
Getting pretty sassy there. Holy hell.
I think it's wild that she thinks any other judge would be nicer to her than Judge
Right?
Boreski has been. Because
He
he's
has
been
been-
crazy accommodating.
He has. He has. He's made sure that these ridiculous claims that she's making cannot stand up.
Mm-hmm.
But wow,
Yeah.
what a bitch.
No, Your Honor.
But she's like a teenager. All you ever say is no. You always tell me no. You've never told me yes of anything in my entire life. We've all heard our teenagers say shit like that. That's exactly how she sounds.
The way the judge says, I think I was here about 15 minutes ago.
Right? Just barely gave her something that he doesn't have to give her. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to give her that.
No. And the state's like, dude, look, I know you're trying to be accommodating, but for God's sake, shut this bee down.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, starting next week, you guys are going to see our new merch, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff from this trial and this last trial. And because we now have a way to make that possible, to make it really easy. Then when something great comes up that we're all like, well, I need that on a sticker or a shirt or
Mm-hmm.
a hat or something. Well, you will be able to
You
get
may
it.
have it. Yes.
Very excited about that.
Oh, gosh. I
When you're
am.
done.
Yeah, 2 times with the "Are you done?" But again, he talks to her like he's talking to a teenager
He does.
because she
He does.
talks to him like a petulant kid. Yeah.
She does. She
Yeah.
does. You've denied all of my emotions. Blah, 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 blah. Well, not even true. But like he said, this is the law, dummy. If you
Right.
file a bunch of shit that isn't relevant, then yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Turns out you're not an attorney. So sucks to suck.
Well, if you would file something with legal merit.
Right. Right. Paula says her complaining about late discovery and the state hasn't received anything from her.
Mhm.
Because like he said, he could just preclude all of her witnesses today because this was all done way past the due date. And
Mhm.
he's not even going to do that. He's going to wait and see.
Also,
You
at
know,
the end of the argument about Melanie and Zulema, is that how she said it? Zulema?
Zulema.
Zulema. The way he finally said, okay, it doesn't sound like they have relevant information. Well, I mean, if you won't tell him what it is, Lori, then
Well, were they there? Did you see it with your eyes? Did you hear it with your ears? You little shit. Use your words right against you. That's another sticker we need. Because if not, they don't have anything relevant to say.
right, Amber. So none of my motions have had merit. Not many, no. Oh, God.
Just being honest. Just being honest. Oh my God.
Them's the facts, ma'am.
Right, but they knew Brandon. Oh my gosh, so was a server at a restaurant, but that doesn't mean they have relevant information. Oh,
That
my
was
God.
Judge Boreski's greatest hits right there today. Right, this hearing needs a song. I might just have to take the transcript from this hearing and make a song.
I really think that you should because wow,
This was pretty great. Yes.
man.
Oh,
That is so wild.
the rack belt conversation too.
It was exactly the same conversation they had before. I didn't know that there was a belt hanging down, and I watched that whole damn trial. Did any of you?
Mm-mm.
Never saw it.
No. And
Well,
even
no
if the
one told
jury
the jury.
did.
Well, you didn't ask for it, did you, bitch? Who did you think was going to do that for you?
Oh boy.
That
Well, wow.
was pretty special. Holy hell.
Christine wants to control that rack belt. Right? Yeah.
So bad. I'll
Maybe
bet that
we just
judge
thought it
wants
was her
to.
tail. Right. Maybe so.
At this point, I think yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we knew she had it on. Because honestly, if the jury had even seen it, would they have any idea what it was?
No.
No,
Uh-uh.
because they don't know she's wearing it. We know.
Right. Because they didn't know she was a big murderer.
Right.
Well, they did by the time it was over.
They did. Yeah.
Well, that was a delight. It really was.
Yes, it was.
Good on you, Judge. Good on you.
Right. She killed no one. Right. Wrongfully convicted, as she loves to say to anyone who will listen.
Family
Yeah,
tragedy,
okay.
don't you know? Yes.
Times 4, because how many of us have just had 4 terrible family tragedies of members of our family who died, like in a terrible tragedy that was actually murder? Yeah, that's just not a thing. It doesn't happen.
Nope.
Yeah, the jury didn't know. I am going to make a thread over in our Discord that is for merch you dream of. What would you like? Please let me know, because I'm building up a catalog, and there are many that I have in the back of my head, but we don't always remember everything. And so please go participate in that. If you haven't joined Discord, go to truecrimesquad.com. There's an invite there that you can click on and join our Discord. And I'm going to start a thread today that is merch dreams, so that you can tell us what you want, and we're going to make all of it. So that's pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Irene says, next Keith interview, he needs to just ask her, do you ever just shut the fuck up, Lori? The answer is no.
No. I love that today. No, Judge. Okay, Judge. All the breathy stuff.
Well, no. It's so attitude. It's such bratty teenager shit. I'm like, she really is not an adult.
I'm so entertained.
Yeah.
No, she is not, for sure. Yeah.
Any tea on Chad's kids? No.
Not
Things
really,
are very quiet. And most of them have never, really been very public at all. It's just been Emma and Garth that we really knew anything about anyway. Everything is very quiet. They have wisely shut up, which, for the ones that have just stayed quiet the whole time, they just did not want to get drawn into this. Many of them live in our community and are like business owners, business professionals, like
teachers.
They're just trying to survive this shit that has happened in their family. But yeah, we've not seen or heard a thing.
No, as far as I know, Emma still is on the teachers list for Emerson. Is it Emerson? I can't remember. For one of the grade schools in Sugar City. I think she still teaches. I cannot fathom who would let their kid be in her class, but apparently not everyone thinks like I do. But yeah, that's a thing, apparently.
I mean,
so
honestly, for them, particularly for the ones that have just tried to not let this destroy their lives, I hope that they just are able to just have some peace at this point.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. I am guessing, short of Emma and her husband, and I don't know what to say about them. All we know is what they said in their trial in Chad's trial.
Yeah.
But overall, I think, I believe that most of them probably do know the truth, that they probably absolutely are aware of it, and they just need to move on. And, as we know, at least at the time, we know from some of Tammy's family that they are all completely estranged from Tammy's family at that point. And I hope that heals, But again, it might just be too damn painful to come around, regardless of what they believe.
Right. I haven't seen anything about development on the property. One thing that you have to understand is that we're still in the window of time where you can't quite pour concrete or things like that in our weather. And so likely, I imagine we'll see more things happening near the end of May, 1st of June, when it comes to the property and what they're going to do with it. I haven't seen anything publicly said about what they're planning on doing. But if they're going to build anything or put anything in, we're still like, it was pouring rain and 39 degrees here today.
Yeah.
So we're just not quite
We're
in
not
the
quite
window
there yet.
where it's too early to plant. It's too early to pour concrete. Digging might still not be possible in some places. So
Yeah.
we're just
We
still
did,
dealing with Idaho weather.
thanks to Scott's super sleuthing skills, we do know exactly who they are. But I won't say because they are, wanted to be anonymous. But
Oh, I did not know that you know who they are. Oh, wow.
yeah, it turns out they're related to a sister-in-law. So yeah, we
Well, of
do
course
know.
they are. That's what it's like to
Throw
live
a
here.
stone. Yeah.
Be from that stock, friends.
Yeah, but I'm
We're
hoping
related
we
to everyone.
can get a little more info on that as we go. Yeah.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure that we're gonna. It's coming time when we'll start seeing movement on projects again, and I bet we'll see some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 39 here today and pouring rain and
Mhm.
so goddamn cold. So
Mhm.
until really June 1st, you can't count on the weather here. And even then, you really can't.
Even then, you
But
don't
it
know.
won't get cold enough to freeze and stuff like that, likely after the 1st of June.
Yeah.
Oh no, Kaylin says it was 100 here today. Oh my God.
Oh, good Lord.
Victoria said
88 where
88 muggy
Victoria
here.
is. Yeah.
It's pretty muggy here too, and
Mhm.
cold as
And
hell.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too, Tammy. I'm grateful that they bought it, and hopefully we'll do something nice with it. And
Yeah.
that community needs that, the healing for that.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did in Moscow with the King Road House.
Mhm.
There's a really beautiful pagoda thing there now, and
Yeah.
it's nice.
I'll tell you what, though, it is still surreal to drive past that property and see it all gone.
I'll
You
bet it is.
almost forget. You almost
Mhm.
forget because there's not a single structure there now. It's taken me by surprise a couple of times when we've driven past, and I'm like disoriented. Oh, wait a minute, that's the Daybell property. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it is weird.
By
But
the
that
way, we've had
community out there
another
needs.
super weird murder here in Idaho that we're going to cover on Monday. But lots of things happened this week that we're kind of having to just like chip away at and move through. But ooh,
Yeah.
there's a home dinger.
There is, and it's in a place that if
Speaks
we
for
still kind of
itself.
have hill people around here, it's probably there.
Yes.
I worked in mental health and served that community for a while, and I will tell you that there's a special kind of crazy out there. So
Mm-hmm.
we will talk about that on Monday.
Yeah.
Weeks. Yes, Linda, we are done. But you can always go back and watch because we did a live blind react to that, and I didn't even think I could get gobsmacked by her, but boy, I was. That
Yep.
direct asking the judge to recuse himself like that, my God, that woman's got some cheek.
Oh, I loved it.
Wow.
I'm just dumbfounded to think that she thinks that anybody's going to be better to her than he's been.
I know. He really has been very accommodating. He is protecting the integrity of these trials in every way that he possibly can while dealing with this bullshit. I bet he's so glad, because he's changing posts. He's getting reassigned to a different court. And this is his last case in this job. He cannot wait to be done, I will bet you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, big Koberger hearing today. I saw that. We'll talk about that next week, too.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff going on.
Everything's heating up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
Well, it's gonna, because we're on the downhill run to that trial now.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, they think that trial's going to be 3 months long. Am I going to survive a 3-month trial? I hope so.
I'm blown away that could be a 3-month trial. I really am.
I am too. I mean, I know that there's 4 victims, but really the evidence is the same for everybody, for the, for the vast majority. So, oh, for sure. She's going to try to appeal that the judge was biased, but it won't get anywhere because he clearly isn't.
Yep.
And that is one of the values, I think, of having all of these hearings filmed.
Yeah.
You can see exactly what he says to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're having conversations, in the hallway. This is exactly what he says.
Well, and as he has accommodated a lot of her bullshit, you watch what the state's done. Nothing.
Yeah.
They have rarely objected. They have rarely
Yeah.
fought him on anything when he
Yep.
has bent the rules for her, because Trina K's like, whatever. This is a slam dunk anyway.
Right.
She's an idiot. She needs to have more time. She needs to do this or that. Fine. But you can see that she's also getting to the end of her rope. I
Mhm.
Googled.
Yeah. When?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everyone's pretty done with her.
Yeah.
Although I'm very glad to hear this is going to be a pretty short trial. And we always
Yes.
thought that it would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like it will be. And I know they have some days they have to take off in the midst there, because there's one whole week that the judge can't be there.
Yeah.
But I bet we're done before we even get to that week from the sounds of things.
Mm-hmm. I think
Because
so
I don't
too.
think she's going to have
Thank
any
you,
defense, because
Tammy.
she hasn't got anything in. Yes, thank you
Yeah.
for the super stickers. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All righty, friends. Well, that is what we've got. That was quite a ride. We'll be back on Monday with a crazy local case, as well as an update on Coburger. Obviously, there's been a lot going on from that today, and we'll have so much more next week. I don't even want to know, because what could happen between now and then, I don't
Oh
want to know.
God. Don't. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Don't say it.
most definitely. All righty. Well, please enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend. Smile, laugh, get a break from all of this. Go over to Discord. Tell us what merch you want. When some things are ready, I'm going to start posting over there. So Discord is
Mhm.
going to see it first.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, it'll be public very soon. But we're going to share in Discord and Patreon first what we've got. And so that will probably show up this weekend for you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty excited about what we're doing. So keep an eye on that.
Very good stuff.
And as always, you know it, we are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.